Hello and welcome. Today we will create an immersive website with tools like Midjourney, After Effects, and finally we will publish it on Webflow, and it will look like this in the end. So to create this effect, we are going to do a few steps. The first one is to create the images in Midjourney. Then we are going to zoom out of them in Midjourney. After we have all the photos, we're going to move over to After Effects. And we're going to merge them all together, create this zoom in animation. And we're going to export them into a Lottie format. After that, we are going to add this Lottie animation into Webflow as a background, and we will animate that background on scroll. And this is how we will do the whole process. So let's jump into the first step. So as you can see here, I just generated a photo with the prompt "People on Adventure in the Jungle." And we got this photo here. So this is going to be the end photo that we are zooming into. And after that, I just pressed on the zoom out ×2, and we got basically this one. First you get 4 alternatives and then you pick one. I'll pick this one. So you just basically keep on zooming out of these variations of these photos, and it generates 4 new ones. You pick one of them and you zoom out of this one, and so it goes. So now we have another one. Let's scale this one up. And let's zoom out of it. And let's go ahead and save these ones. Now we have successfully done these two, created the images in Midjourney, and we're gonna move over to After Effects to create a Lottie zoom in animation that we then can use in Webflow. So let's head over to After Effects. Alright, so once we're in After Effects, let's create a new project, new composition, and let's name this one to Webflow Animation. And then we're gonna import all of the files that we just created in Midjourney. Once you've imported all of the images, it's really important that the one that is closest to the end subject is the highest one in the timeline, and the one that is further away is the lowest. So basically we need to add the one that is the closest. That's this one. We need to add first. And then we will see, and then it's probably this one. And then it's this one. And the last one is this one. Cool, so we now have them all stacked up together like this. Let's hide them all for now, except the last one. And what we are going to do now is basically scale the images in a way so they fit in each other. And what that will enable us to do is that we can zoom into the image without losing any quality over time. So if we start here with the first one, move on me, here we go. You can just select the base layer and click S to get the scale up here, and then you click on these, and then you click here and you just tap 1 ×2 on the 100. What this will do is it will scale it up to 100%, and we also zoomed out to 100%, so this will be a perfect fit to the next image. As you see here, when I unhide this second image, it just fits perfectly. The only thing you see is that the quality is becoming a little bit better, and that's what we want. So we're just gonna continue to do so, but before we do, we need to tie them together. And to do that, you just hit this little parent linking here and you drag it to the file beneath it. So they're now linked, and what that enables you to do is to scale them together. Alright, so let's do ×2 again, because that's the next image. So if we unhide it, it's going to be a perfect match to the next image. Let's tie them together, and let's do the last one. Then it's 400 ×2, and we're at the last one. Alright. But what you can see here is also that when you add this image, you can kind of see this sharp edge. So that's what we are going to do now. But first we're going to bind this one. We're going to make a little feather, a mask feather for each of these images so that you remove this sharp edge. To do this, you just click on this little square over here. You go into the mask. You press 100 on the mask, and then we will have the mask expansion to -100. Cool. And this is what we are going to do for each clip except the last one, because the last one doesn't have the last one is not inside an image, so we don't need to do it for that one. Alright, so we have now done that for all of the images, and as you can see here, it zooms in perfectly without losing any quality, and you can't see the edges of each new photo anymore. So that's basically what we want. Now the only thing that is left is to create an animation where this picture zooms in. And to do that, we're just gonna keyframe, let's put this at 100 at first. And in the beginning here, let's create a keyframe, move a few seconds to the right, and let's create another keyframe, or just change it to the end here where we can see them all. Yeah, there we go. Let's play it, and as you can see, it looks great, but there is just one problem, and it looks a little bit like mechanical. The zoom in is not very organic. So to change that, we can just right click on one of these ones, and we can add an ease out on the last one and an ease in on the first one, like this. Alright, a little bit better. I wish it was faster, so let's move this closer and let's do 2 seconds. Here we go, great. Alright, so I think we're pretty happy with that. Let's just shorten this one. We're gonna create a short video that we're gonna export. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and for the last part is that we are going to export it in Lottie files. So to do that, you need a plugin for After Effects that is called Lottie files, and to get that you can just go into Creative Cloud, search for Lottie files extension, and you will be able to download it. Then you need to create an account and everything, but yeah. So after you have done that, you will see under extensions, under Windows, you'll see the Lottie files. And what this will enable us to do is to just export it as a Lottie file directly, and what that does is that it export it in JSON format. So we're basically exporting it as code, and that's what's going to be needed when we import it into Webflow. So after we are done with this, just move it to the workplace in Lottie files, and we can head over to Lottie files here and go to dashboard. and we will download that file. You can also, if it's a really long file, you can download it in an optimized version where it's smaller, and I think that's better if you have the opportunity, because these files can be really heavy for the web browser, especially if you're like on an old computer or something, if you want everyone to be able to render this animation. Alright, so congratulations, you finished the first steps. We generated the images in Midjourney, created the zoom outs, we have now merged them in After Effects and created a Lottie animation that we have exported. The next step is to create a Webflow project, add that Lottie animation as a background, and to animate it on scroll to make it more interactive. Alright, so for the last step we are going to animate this as a background on scroll on Webflow. So open up Webflow and create a new project. And the first thing we're going to do here is to select body and then scroll down to height, and we want to do it 1500 pixels, max height as well. And the reason for this is that we want to be able to scroll through the canvas so that we can animate something on scroll. So there has to be something to scroll in to actually start playing the animation if we want to do it interactive with scrolling. So that's why we increase the size of the body. And I think that's it for here. The other thing we need to do is then to go into add objects and add a Lottie animation. So then go ahead and add the Lottie animation that you created. And there are a few things we need to do here as well, because as you see, when you scroll, the animation is moving as well, and we don't want that. So to fix this, we can click on the Lottie animation, go to position, and then choose fixed and full. So this will do that it fills the whole screen and that it stays fixed as we scroll. After that, we also need it to not change aspect ratio when you switch platforms. So if you switch to your mobile phone, it looks all squeezed here. And to do this, you need to add some custom attributes here in settings for Lottie animation. And I'm gonna leave these, like the name and the value of this custom attribution, in the descriptions, and you can just copy and paste it. So what this does is that it fills the whole screen, and it keeps the same aspect ratio whatever platform you are using as the background. Also make sure that it's in SVG and not canvas. So here, so now we have added the animation as the background. The next thing is to animate it on scroll. And to do this, you just need to select the background, go over to animations here, and create the page trigger and click on while page is scrolling. After that, you can just play scroll animation, add a new one. Let's add a new one and name it scrolling background, and just add one and add integrations Lottie, and for this we will have the animation at 0% when it's at the top and at 100% when it's fully scrolled through the page. And let's save that and do some previewing. And as we now scroll, you can now see that we are moving through the image. You can also see that it works on different platforms as well. So the last thing we're gonna do to have a little fun is to we're gonna pretend this is like a book a trip in the jungle web page. So let's add just a custom message in the end and the button, just to showcase what you can do with it. And to do this, let's go ahead and add a section. Let's do a container inside of that section, and let's add a text. just to make it easier, let's hide the background for now. Let's do a heading that is welcome to the jungle. Have the text centered. And let's make it so the text kind of appears in the middle and change it to white because the background is kind of dark. Alright, so now we can't see the text, but it's going to appear. So one important thing to remember is that the background is fixed, so everything else that is added there will be also fixed, because otherwise it will be moving while we're scrolling, but we want it to kind of appear in the end. So let's do, actually this whole section will be fixed. So there's one more thing that we need to do, and it's called the Z index. It's positioning the layers, basically what layer should be where and what should be visible in front of each other. And we want this like text layer to be in front of the background, so that's what we need to change here. So just hit 1 here on the Z index under positioning while you have fixed and full on the section that the container and the heading is inside. And let's go ahead and unhide the background again, and you can now see that the background is there. So let's see if this works. Alright, yes, it does work. We do need the text to be a little bit bigger because we want it to be like a logo. Do 65, welcome to the jungle. And what we also want to add in here is a button. Alright, so we now have the text and the button, and now we're going to animate them so they just appear as we are scrolling into the end. And let's add a new animation while scrolling. Scroll animation, and then add a new one, and this one is going to be opacity. And it will be at 0 in the beginning, and it will probably be at 0 in the middle, and then in the end we want it to go up to 100. So let's go ahead and save that and do the same for this one. Oh, let's add a new one. Scroll animation, opacity. Be at 0 in the beginning, 0 in the middle, and then 100 in the end. And let's just change the font as well because this was boring. Well, so now we publish the site, and let's check out the end result. We can now scroll through this without losing any quality, and in the end the copy and the button will appear. And this works well throughout all of the platforms like tablets and phones as well. So yeah, this was just another way to create an immersive website that is a bit more fun than just a regular website where you scroll down. Alright, so that was it for this video, and I hope you found it interesting, that you want to try it out and build on top of it, and yeah, explore further. That was it for this time. Thank you. Bye bye.